This is a subject which is relevant um, for what we're learning over here, and there's a lot that has to go into this. Actually, Shefer Fialkov sent me an article that I spoke about it this week, but it happens to be discussing this in this Mishnah. We have pipes that are put together, and I'm not getting involved in all the Tumah V'Tayra aspect, but it suffices enough to say that it could be that's made to be part of the karka, and there shouldn't be any problem using them to bring water, like the Mishnah which we learned last week. And I'd like to read something which is a fascinating idea. The Chazon Ish, this is not written over here. I would just like to share this with you because it's a fascinating thing by itself. The Gemara seems to say, with the Rashba and Shulchan Aruch discusses that a sulam is a kli which is makabel tuma. The problem with the sulam being a kli that's makabel tuma is that a sulam l'chayra is pshutei kliyates. It's made out of eights, and there's no base kibble in it. So how could it be makabel tuma? So the Chazon Ish writes the following. The Chazon Ish writes that when you have the shlivois asulam, the ladder, the rungs of the ladder, they go into these holes, right? They go into like a cup on each side of the, the two runners going down the side of the ladder, and the cross beams, I guess you want to call them, I don't know what you want to call them exactly, those cross beams that they go, that's what the ladder is made out of. Now, the problem is, what is the purpose? In order for it to be a kli kibul, it has to be that it is something that accepts something. One of the problems with the mats, the machzalot, that are used nowadays, the classical ones, and this is not a commercial right now, we're right after Sukkot, we're not going to sell any kindness mikori, right? I'm just use that example of that one. Everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so those, what they have is, they have through each piece of bamboo, I don't know what it is exactly, but whatever this stuff is made out of, whatever kind of tree it is, they have a string of gava string, which is a naturally grown fiber that is not treated in any way, so it's not makabel tuma, and they
not even a rope, it's just a bunch of fibers together. They don't weave it.
They don't weave it. I said it's that now. I don't know how they get them so long exactly, but they go all the way from one end to one thing to the other. And that's fine, as far as the rope is concerned. The question is, are those holes that it goes through, right? It goes through from one side to the other side. Is that called that's makabel? It's made lakabel. It's made to be makabel the rope. Is it makabel the rope or it's not makabel the rope?
They might not even punch the holes.
I didn't ask them to punch the holes. Is it makabel the rope or it's not called makabel the rope? In other words, the rope goes through, but the rope is not, there's no receptacle. I said two things and you said that's what you would say. That's not, which one would you say?
The rope has to go through. It has to go through, but
so does that make that these sticks, I don't know what you want to call them, these shoots, these bamboo things, I don't know, are they a eights that's a clear eights that's makabel or not makabel? Anybody want to say something?
I think they sew it through. They just put.
I don't care what they do. I asked you a question.
That makes a difference. If you make a hole before, it's a hole.
It doesn't know. In fact, the question is, if a hole that's purposeful, if that's called the clay kibul, you made a hole, and the thread goes through it. Is that called that it's makabel the thread? So the Chazon Ish, someplace he writes that that's not called the clay kibul, because the clay kibul means it has to be that it
It holds it.
It holds it. That's the way it holds it. So even though the actually what happens is that the string holds that the sticks can't run around. It's not this the stick doesn't hold the string at all. Right? So the Chazon Ish says that's not called a clay kibul. So he asks the question, he says, so why is a ladder called the clay kibul? What does the ladder do? The ladder just sits in between these two cups. And it's theoretically, you could have the holes go all the way through. Are you people with me in the facts of the issue? So the Chazon Ish says a very novel thing. He says, well, that's very nice, but ladders are made to be carried around. And when you carry the ladder around, you turn the ladder on the side and you walk with it. And if those cups would be holes, so all the shlivois would fall out. Right?
Can't you say that about anything?
What?
Can't you say that about anything? That's a pshuta kliyetz. If you turn it over, you could hold anything.
No,
even if it doesn't have a lip. It has to be something that's a flea.
I have a table and I put it on its side, everything's gonna fall off. Right? What happens is that the cup actually holds the thing. I don't know if people can see me or not. You can see what I'm doing over here?
Yes.
Yeah,
But,
you could. So
Even though that's not the way the ladder is used.
No, but since this is what the Chazon Ish writes, since that the ladder is made to be carried around, so it's not like an accident. They build it like that, and they don't make it with a hole all the way through, just so you should be able to do that. And that's the Chazon Ish says that's why a ladder is called clay kibul. Okay. Now after
does it make a difference if the rungs are being like held in with screws or they're just forced into the hole?
I think that if they would be held in with screws, then according to the Chazon Ish, it would not be a clay kibul. You'd have a problem because of the screws, but if it was held in with wooden pegs, theoretically, so then then you would be okay. Now let's read this over here. When you have piping, so the piping has treading, and one thing goes onto the other, right? That's how you do it. So is that piping called a clay kibul or not? So let's see what it says over here. This is a fascinating piece, so I want to share this with you. Tzinara shel matris hamitzuim kayom she'oisim behem charitzin havraga lechaber bahen echad lechaveru. Right? They're they screw them together, these pieces. Okay. Lo chazinu dechashil hu rabbanim mishum shuvim. That doesn't make the pipes into shuvim, and he wants to know why not. Okay, you have it? No, parrots in the wrong column. Go exactly over to the next column. Right, exactly over there. Venera, go up one line. Up what? 2 lines. Go up 2 lines. Go up 2 lines. Venera, that's right. Venera hatam mishum delay chashivi charitzin kasuyin lekabbalah. The charitzin are not considered that they were made to be a receptacle. She'ein tzorech el lidfanos hachritzim she'em hamoinim es hatzironos milahafrit. You need the grooves so that the pipe doesn't move up and down. You don't want actually that it should rest on the metal because then it scrapes itself. Aval hatoich shel hachritz ein bo shum inyan. There is no purpose for the toich of the chritz on the outside. Obviously, on the inside, you want it that it should be able to hold water, right? But that's the smooth part. Ve'en also the kabel shum dover. V'achutim shemamalim oisam bahem kedei l'sosmon, and the flax which they used to use, and nowadays they use that white stuff. What's it called?
Teflon.
Teflon. Okay, Yofi. Okay. Lo lekabel nasa chritz. And the purpose is not, you're not trying to hold Teflon. That's not the point. The point of the Teflon is so that there should be no chritz, and that you're trying to be mamayit. You're not trying to save your Teflon for later. That's not this point, right? Agav, I just learned from a plumber recently a very important trick. If you're ever using Teflon on closing pipes, what he does is he takes the like a plier or something like that, and he scrapes all of the treading on a few different sides. And what it does is it makes little nicks in the treading. And this way, when you put it together, when you screw it together, it makes it that much tighter, that much more secure. Very cute little shtick that I learned. All right. Anyways, now where is that? The chutish ha'malim bohem l'sayis kelo l'kavon as l'chritz. Al arab lo nicha nas l'chritz. The size of adif mitzinor shutzar mikan umikan v'reichu be'emtza, like a canoe. And there the shot is because by doing so, by having it wide in the middle, it causes water pressure on the way out. Okay, it's something like they just made going into Beit Shemesh, out of Beit Shemesh, the most ridiculous thing. Can't understand why people are so primitive in thought. Going out of Beit Shemesh, going to Kvish Eser, they made a 2-lane highway. It starts off as 1 lane and ends up as it gets to 2 lanes and then goes back to 1 lane. And all it does is going to create traffic, because if everybody would be in 1 lane the whole time and you just have a side, so then you wouldn't have any merging. But now what they did was just made it wide enough so you could spread out. Then you have to merge back together. And all it does is make traffic, right? But it causes pressure on the sides. When it's wide in the middle, it causes pressure on the sides. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, in 2 years when you'll travel that road, you'll say you heard it here first. All right. Even if water goes over those chritzim, it's not called shuvim. Why? Because the chritzim are not kedei lekabel. Okay? Hilkoch hamayim ve'en sha'kan lodon lefi she'af bechokok harei acheres tzarech levius lefi hatam shel ei. I lost my plates. It jumped on me. Translates kol shu tachas kuvetz hoylech. Okay, this is not like for us right now. The tzarech levius. Let's get to it over. Avlimo inachshav nasu lekabolo shel shimush harogel shapo hayeshiro kefi hatzamchut. Ve'eshet derafim shebeshulchan aruch haya behem chagikim v'nasim chakikas harafim shelo yishmetu. I just want to discuss over here something else which is neged nowadays in mikvahs. If you look at the back of tiles, the backs of tiles have grooves in them. The reason why they have grooves in them is it's treading. It's so that when you put it onto the cement, so the cement gets stuck in between the grooves and it keeps the tile exactly where you want. So this is a major issue and discussion about if this causes things to be considered a klikibel, and there's a tshuva in Minchas Yitzchak about this, and people are maybe machmer on today. But this is we didn't speak about the PVC pipes have it comes up and it goes around. They don't screw one into the other. They fit one into the other. You know, one is a little bit wider than the next, and it fits in. And there's a gasket on the outer lip of the lower one. I'll call it the lower one, whatever. The inner one. What?
The inner one has a gasket around it.
No. There's a lip on the outer one that has an inside of it that has a gasket on it, so that it sits snugly against the inner one, and therefore there's no leakage.
You're talking about that they're flanged?
I don't know what the word. I don't know what a flange
spreads out.
They're flanged, but they also have a gasket in there to keep it sealed.
Flanged is that it goes from narrower to wider.
Yeah, but besides doing that,
I think it's just tight fit.
Besides doing that, it goes like this, and it goes out, and over here, there's a. Could you let me show this over here for a second? Can you get rid of this for 1 second? Okay. Well, you have a pipe, and then the other pipe actually fits in. I drew this obviously bahagzama because I just wanted it. The other pipe fits in like this on top of it, but there's on the lower one where it goes in. There's a rubber black gasket that's there to hold it securely in place. Maybe I'll have to bring one in. I know if I can get a hold of one. Maybe you can ask somebody who works in building. But you people know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so now, but this part, okay, this goes into here. Okay, and now what about this gasket over here? Is that called Osu Kabel? What are you trying to find it on the internet? Does it exist?
We have something here. Let's see if it works.
Here. But you can't see anything in this thing.
I want to make it bigger.
Wait,
Okay, I don't. Okay.
I have something here we could.
Oh, very good. Okay, but look at this black gasket over there. Now, if you look on the side of them, you can see that it gets wider over there to hold the gasket. Now, that gasket, you want that gasket there. So there's a question whether that makes the whole pipe a pipe that's made to be makabel. What is this from a tambour?
I don't know where it's from.
Plumbing. It's plumbing supplies.
Plumbing supplies, yeah.
Yeah.
I looked
right,
up.
fine.
I just looked for pipe fittings. That's all.
Pipe fittings. Okay, fine. All right. Anyways, but that's what
But this is the flange that I was talking about.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where the gasket goes in.
So that little slot is a base kibble, or would be a base kibble.
That slot is a base keyboard because you want that black thing there.
But okay, but it's not
Now,
full.
What?
But it's not full. It can't hold water.
Also, well, it would hold water. Why can't it hold water? It definitely
Because there's a gasket in it.
Oh, so yeah, but that's the question. If it's made for one thing, now we're gonna get back to our page.
Okay.
Sinoros haplastikim hasuim kayon. Next paragraph. Start the next paragraph. Yeah. You go down the line. Right. Sinor plastikim hasuim yon shesh b'sei chatzinor chakak ke'ein tabas u'menichim sham tabas gumi she'asidu lahatzmik u'lahadbir atzimor hamitzchaber va'yedei zeh timna. Can't see that word. Does someone read that word?
Hishtam tuso.
Hishtam tuso.
Oh, Hishtam. Okay, well, the letters are scrunched together over here. It should move around. Okay. Okay, this is exactly what now I can see it. Okay, that's exactly what we're talking about. That gasket that we just saw. That part, that groove. That groove, yeah, that's the word. It's made lakaba. Afagav the ikr tashmishu who are yedei adefanois ukein havroga shabatinoris habarza delio. Even though the general picture, what you're really trying to do is just keep the things samud one to the other. You're not really trying to keep things in there. Then he also the kabbalah smayim, and it's not made for kabbalah smayim. Mikol mokom hu mishtamish kekli kibul lahachzik agumi. Ashiatzmidenu litzino hamischaber. The nichole bekabalosa. You want to have that that rubber in there. Hare af shimush ara lekabala mechshev kekli ukeomar b'shabes nun tevs sandal shel behema hol v'roi lishtas v'mayim alos v'shemim b'mechama v'chen kisei alefes v'shel rof all these things because ken hocha the tchilas asiyah shel ishtamish lahazik. Hagume achat miden letzinor. V'lochein ein l'shtamish behem lavas megisham loitzer. You should not use these kind of pipes. Now, what Rameir Bronsdorfer did was he took care of this whole problem with a really cute, practical patent. What he did was he gets the pipes and he gets a guy who has a welding gun to weld them together. Instead of them being fit together, he melts them together, and then they become one, and you don't need to have anything to hold it because it's all one pipe. Well, he does cut off those pieces, right? He actually buys ones that don't have those pieces on them. Gimologim ha'avru b'sach hachritz, the mashavin atstadim v'chulu, kvar giu arboim sol v'yisham d'tzinu shemchasim v'chritz. Okay, then he gets into a halachic issue. Okay, but this is important. I just wanted to discuss this because we'll see a little bit more. My Bronstover has a tshuva on this also. These are from the modern day shilas that didn't exist in the olden times. These questions because they didn't have these all these kinds of pipes. All right. What kind of piping is this?
Those are pipes that just get wedged together.
Fittings, they're fittings.
No, but how do they stay together?
They're different widths. You have this thing will fit in here.
No, I understand, but what keeps the water?
They're welded. They're welded. They're welded.
Oh.
With,
afterwards they're welded or they're crimped.
Exactly, with a crimp. Yeah. Exactly. That's the only way. They put heat to it, and then they melt. They melt the lead around it.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, that's the similar kind of an idea. Okay, now let's gonna start the next Mishnah. Okay, Kaisel shebein shtei mikvos shenizdak lashesi mitzdaref la'erev ein mitzdaref. If it was nizdak lashesi and they were vav test. It was nizdak lashesi, then it's mitzdaref. La'erev, it's not mitzdaref. And just to make our life befuddled, there's actually a machlekes rishonim which way is shesi, which way is erev. Therefore, we pass the chumrah both ways. But that's not the subject which I would like to discuss. At least I want to start this Mishnah today. What does the word mitzdaref mean?
Combines. So I'm right now going to try to translate the Mishnah. I'm just telling you right now that I'm tricking you because this is actually a machlokes. I'm not. Okay. The shesa is enough to make a connection between them. Ula arev. Now, next part, if it's la'arev, where it's not the wrong direction, then it's no good until you have a shveres hanoid. So how much did you need the first time? Where it's mitzdaref, obviously we're not talking about where you have a shveres hanoid. Cumulative. Very nice. That's a very nice shot. Not only that, many of the say that shot. I don't know what you're talking about. What kind of is just cumulative? We have to have that. We have some kind of connection. I know I'm not. You have to. You're not wrong. But what does that mean? What kind of idea is that a cumulative? Yeah. So the Mishnah Achrona says this shot that you said. Let's see if we can find the Mishnah Achrona over here. It's a different print. Yeah, but we used to get to the beginning of this Mishnah Achrona. Oh, here it is. Let's start. Mistaref, Pashit the Basisha Mash that Sir Za Hainu Shir Shafaris Hanoid. Sheim Yesh Bechalal Hasdak Kuloi Shir Shafaris Hanoid, Nitstaref Kilo Haya B'Makom Echad. You have a long crack that if you were making a cumulative assessment of how much is there, you'd have a Shafaris Hanoid, then that would be good enough. Behind the Tanim Lav Ain't Mitztaref. The Achi of a Makom Echad Shafaris Hanoid. But if you have it the right way, then it's mitzdaref. Now, what in the world could be the pshat in that?
So I would like to offer, I would like to ask another question and then offer a pshat. Why should there be a difference between whether it's this way or this way? Right, the Mishnah says that there's a difference, and obviously the machlek is which way is better, which way is worse. And if you'd ask me, neither are either. You know what I mean? Like I've no understanding.
If it's going to the top of the mikveh, then you have a connection at the top of the mikveh, which we already said doesn't have to be very much.
Oh, that's very good. That's very good. So there are some that say that this is obviously talking, that they say this Mishnah is not talking about what goes all the way to the top. Because if we go all the way to the top, then we have Peretz's problem. So, no, yes, you're on the money, but that's not going to do it.
But even without the top, if it's going crosswise, then anything at that level is going to go through. But if it's up and down, then it has to be at a certain level for it to go out.
Why? It goes out wherever it is.
Yeah, but cumulative might be from top to bottom, and
So?
the bottom might, and from crosswise, it could go all the way across. If the water is below the top where the water is spilling out, then it doesn't.
We're talking about, that's true. We looked about that at a different time, whether the whole Sheparis Hanot has to be full or not. That's a different issue. You know what? I'm going to stop over here and we're going to start this Mishnah next week. You guys can think of a good answer until next week. Okay? Shlomo, we're expecting good things. Okay. Have a good evening.
Has to be a mikveh from a Qumran.
Is that where you are? Is that what's behind you? What's behind you, Shlomo? What is that, Shlomo? That's a mikveh behind you, right?
The mikveh from the Qumran caves.
That's what that is?
Yeah.
If you go to where the Gra Shul is and look on that mountain, which is abandoned, right next to where the, if you call it the old new Gra Shul, you will see a mikveh that looks exactly like that. Right here in Beit Shemesh, and you can even see the plaster where the mikveh is to make it a tomb from water not to go out. I checked it out a few weeks ago. Okay. And you guys don't know what kind of treasures you have right in your backyard.